Hello, a very warm welcome to Granada Reports. We're live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, on the programme this evening.
The Blackburn man who took 4 people hostage at a synagogue in Texas was known to MI5. We're live in Lancashire with the latest.
I will make it my life's work in one sense to not let other people fall into this trap.
The vaccine-hesitant granddad who nearly died in intensive care now urging everyone to get their COVID jab.
It is really expensive and it's all about budgeting, but we make it in the end, you know, you have to make ends meet.
How the rising cost of living could devastate some people in our region. One Northwest charity tells us a growing number of families are struggling to afford the basics.
And looking dead good in Looking Good Dead. Soap stars Adam Woodyard and Gaynor Faye tell us why they're taking to the stage.
So please stay with us. First tonight, it has emerged that the man from Blackburn who took 4 people hostage in a synagogue in Texas was known to British security services.
Yeah, Malik Faisal Akram was the subject of an MI5 investigation in late 2020, but was no longer seen as a risk when he flew to America.
The 44-year-old was shot dead by police at the end of the 10-hour siege. Now, his family and friends are questioning how he was allowed to enter the US.
Well, let's cross live to our correspondent, Elaine Wilcox, who's in Blackburn for us this evening. And Elaine, what do we know about this MI5 investigation?
Well, we know that Malik Faisal Akram was on this MI5 watch list and being investigated. He'd come to the attention of counter-terrorism officers because of his extremist views and because concerns had been raised by a prison imam when he was an inmate in Liverpool prison. But he was taken off the active watch list in late 2020 when he was no longer considered to pose a risk. And that's when he got on a plane, managed to buy a gun and take 4 people hostage in that synagogue. What we also know is he's been to prison 4 times and he'd also been banned from Blackburn Magistrates Court because of his abusive rant following the 9/11 attacks. Now, we've been speaking to a security expert who says there are questions for the security services here and in the US.
Obviously, a risk assessment was carried out, and as does happen, if the evidence and the intelligence is not there, not present, they won't keep them as a high risk. And he became someone who is of no further interest because he's seen as a low risk. So, of course, the other factors, of course, then actually entering into the United States.
Well, that is the question that Mr. Akram's brother wants answering, why he was allowed in the US when he had this criminal record and had mental health issues. There are also suggestions tonight that police here had also tried to contact Mr. Akram shortly before he left for that flight. Meanwhile, 2 teenagers arrested in Manchester are still being questioned in connection with that terrorist incident that played out in Texas.
Yes, still a lot of questions. Elaine, for now, thanks for that update. Well, next this evening, and since the start of the COVID vaccine rollout, we've heard pleas from doctors for the unvaccinated to get their jabs. Well, one person who failed to listen to that advice was Peter Narger from Lancashire.
Yeah, Peter hadn't had the vaccine because he was dubious about the research behind it. He ended up critically ill in the Royal Preston Hospital. Well,
today he invited us to his bedside where he told us he'd made a terrible mistake. Tim Scott went to speak to him.
If you've not taken the vaccine yet, you have to seriously consider it now, because it's so obvious that when this happens, if you become infected and you're not vaccinated, the effects can be so much worse.
A heartfelt plea from a man who nearly died from COVID. Peter Narger from Leyland is recovering after a terrifying ordeal in intensive care. The severity of his illness was made far worse by his decision not to have the vaccination, a decision he now deeply regrets.
This was a terrible mistake, and when you add it into everything else, everything that kind of matters and everything that's of value to your life, your family, your loved ones, I did the wrong thing, way wrong.
At that point when you went into ICU, you must have feared the worst.
Alarm bells are going. You're in a scary place. Lots of thoughts going through your mind, and you're kind of starting to face up to some quite unpleasant thoughts, basically.
Fortunately, Peter pulled through. No thanks, though, to his vaccine hesitancy.
I just felt that for me, vaccines had come out very quickly. They were an experimental type vaccine used under the special powers. But when you kind of take that into perspective now, looking at what I've obviously got, boy, I mean, that just doesn't matter. The vaccines may not stop you getting ill, may not stop you passing it on, but the degree of illness is massively, massively cut.
If you're not vaccinated, your chances of being on intensive care with COVID are much, much higher. The data from across the country is very clear. Especially in the older patients, you're about 40, 50 times more likely to end up on intensive care if you're unvaccinated. And even for the younger patients, less than 40, it's still 10 to 15 times more likely to end up on intensive care.
When he's discharged, Peter plans to campaign for everyone to get the vaccine, and he's begging people not to repeat his mistakes.
Please, 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 make the right decision. Right. Listen to my experience, right, and don't fall back into it. Take the vaccine, protect yourself, and protect your families.
Tim Scott, ITV News, Preston.
Yeah, and let's hope he's home safely very soon. Well, next tonight, the warning that rising energy bills will devastate the poorest families this winter. It's from the Joseph Rowntree Foundation.
Yeah, it is alarming stuff. All households face an increase in outgoings in the coming months. For single adult houses on low incomes, it's estimated they'll be spending more than half their income on energy costs.
Well, tonight we hear more about this, and we're getting advice from the money-saving expert Martin Lewis. Before that, though, we're off to Leyland, where one charity providing baby essentials to families say they have already seen a huge rise in demand. Jennifer Buck has more.
Hi. You okay?
I'm fine, you?
Yes, good, thank you.
21-year-old Aisha Beaumont is here for the essentials to help care for 6-week-old baby Cyrus.
So if you just use this one when you're bathing him, you're not filling up the whole bath, so you're saving a bit of money then on not having to pay such a big water bill.
The business and law student was referred to Tippy Toes Baby Bank by her midwife after she raised concerns about the cost of having a newborn baby.
You realise how expensive shopping is, making sure that you can eat and be fine. So when he was born, I realised that I've got to put money towards rent, make sure he's fed, and make sure I'm fed as well. So it is really expensive, and it's all about budgeting. But we make it in the end, you have to make ends meet.
Nappies, wipes and formula are all essentials for any family. But now it seems these essentials are simply unaffordable for many, which means for charities like this one in Leyland, they've seen demand for their service quadruple. When they opened in 2019, they had around 40 referrals a month. That's risen to more than 150.
Before we used to get referrals from perhaps people who are on benefits, single parents, male and female, but now, like I say, it's the working parents, the parents who have had to get different jobs, that perhaps have to work a month in hand, don't get any money coming in if they've got a young baby to support. To wait a month for nappies just isn't feasible.
Bills are a huge concern, with energy payments expected to rise by 50% in April. The report by the Joseph Rowntree Foundation says the extra cost could push some families further into poverty.
All families on low income will on average be spending about a fifth of their budget on energy bills after the coming price rise. But we've also shown just how fragile so many families' financial situations were going into this situation.
The people we spoke to are feeling the pinch.
The prices of food, and especially now we've got a little one, paying the extra for formula and things for him, just seems to have gone up.
Bills are going up, and obviously we're not getting anything back, no reduction or more pension or anything like that, and I don't know where it's going to end.
Quite expensive, got 2 children and a dog. Obviously energy bills have gone up quite a lot. We've just moved house as well, so it's jumped up quite massively.
Tippy Toes Baby Bank want to expand on the services they offer, as they anticipate demand will not settle anytime soon. Jennifer Buck, ITV News in Leyland.
Yeah, well done to the Tippy Toes Baby Bank for all the work that they're doing. Well, Martin Lewis joined me earlier and said he wasn't surprised that people are already feeling the pinch.
I'm not surprised. And the real problem is we're at the beginning of this. We're not at the end. And we know, factually know, things are going to get worse. The biggest issue that people are facing coming forward that is shocking is going to be the rise in energy prices. We now know that on the 1st of April, the price cap is going to rise by between 46 and 56%, which for someone on a typical bill is equivalent to £600 a year.
And Martin, is it right that you say that people should be starting to panic about this?
Absolutely. I mean, £600 for many of the most vulnerable in society and for those on low incomes is going to be devastating and fundamentally unaffordable. Some people are going to have that choice between, the rhyme, heating and eating, unless we act. And then you've got all those in the squeezed middle for whom this will be affordable, but they'll have to make big sacrifices. Possibly the holiday will have to go in order to be able to pay their energy bills.
It's pretty depressing to hear this, and obviously you're used to offering up solutions, aren't you? So what can people do to prepare and budget for this?
Well, I don't have many tools in my arsenal. What I'm saying to people at the moment is in most cases, there is nothing you can do but stick on the price cap if you're on it, unless you're on a cheap fix from before, in which case stick on that. The only people who may want to consider getting a fix right now are those who can find a fix that is no more than 40% more expensive than the price cap you are currently on. But the cheapest open market fix is 56% more expensive. For everyone else, it is a question of budgeting, of looking at trying to make your house more efficient, of turning down the thermostat, of making sure you're monitoring your smart meter to see what electricity that you're using when you do it. All of those things will make incremental differences, but they won't be able to cover this monumental 50% rise that we're seeing. So it's put the money aside now if you've got it. If not, go onto one of the websites that does a benefits assessment, see if you're entitled to any benefit. If you're struggling, if you can't pay your bill, talk to your energy provider. We're still in coronavirus rules. They can't cut you off. They can't lock you out. They may be able to put you on a payment plan. Talk to a charity, something like National Energy Action or Citizens Advice, to see if there's help there if you can't pay your bills. But ultimately, we are going to need government intervention.
What do you want the government to do, Martin?
Quite simply, we have, between April and October, we know prices are going up for a typical house by £600. In the somewhat forlorn hope that things then get better in October, and I think that is unlikely, but in that forlorn hope, that means just to be paying what they are now, the poorest in society need 300 quid on average to cover it. And we're going to have to find that money, whether it's through taxation, whether it's through increasing debt, whether it's through a windfall tax, doesn't matter. We're going to need to find that money because we're one of the richest countries in the world, and a civilized nation doesn't make its citizens choose between starving or freezing. We need there to be an almost febrile feeling amongst people of worry here in order to get the political classes to act in the way they need to on this. Because I am genuinely concerned. I can't soft soap it. I've spent 20 years telling people how to sort out their bills and save money on it, and I have no tools left in my arsenal.
You donated your own money to help fund an advice service for energy customers. Why did you do that?
Normally, I am able to offer help, and there are so few solutions here for people. And I just thought I need to do something. So I started researching what I could do, and I'm in a position where I'm able to help. And I think those of us who can help at a moment like this, especially when it's your life's work, dealing with people's bills, need to do what they can.
Martin Lewis, thanks for joining us on Granada Reports tonight.
Thank you.
Well, a government spokesperson said they recognise the pressures that people are facing on their household bills and they're taking steps to support them.
Well, we would love to hear from you on this. We'd love to hear your stories. How are you preparing for the rising living costs? How are you feeling about it? Please do get in touch. The usual address, granada.reports@itv.com, or send us a message on Facebook or on Twitter.
Yeah, and for more from Martin Lewis, the Martin Lewis Money Show live is on Thursdays at 8:30 on ITV.
OK, on to some other news for you. And Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham says non-urgent surgery and appointments will restart this week. 17 hospitals cancelled them earlier this month because of pressure on the NHS due to COVID. The rising number of cases meant more staff off because they were having to isolate.
Well, next up, the travel industry, of course, you don't need me to tell you, has been one of the hardest hit during the pandemic, with holidays all but over and airport terminals empty.
But with the restrictions lifted, a busier summer season lies ahead. And today, hundreds of people turned out to Liverpool John Lennon Airport, where they were holding a recruitment day.
Our correspondent Rob Smith went along to speak to those queuing up looking for work.
Way more people than expected came here looking for a job today. The queue snaking through the airport. Hundreds and hundreds of people looking for one of 200 vacancies on offer at Liverpool John Lennon. Jobs ranging from check-in to baggage handling to engineering, even catering. And those queues in stark contrast to the near-empty terminal at times today. The aviation industry taking one of the biggest hits during the pandemic, but both the staff running this airport and the people queuing up are convinced that better times are to come.
With the restrictions being lifted, and we're confident that further restrictions will be lifted as well, that we'll see that recovery really start to move shortly. And so the airlines are already planning for a lot more flights to this airport this summer compared to what we've seen the last 2 years. And as a consequence, we expect to see a lot more passengers and hence need a lot more employees now than what we've had in recent years.
I've been massively impressed. There's a lot of experience. I've spoke to people who've owned their own pubs and they're just looking now to work in some kind of management within the bars. There's people who just want to change. We've got a lot of roles in different areas. We're looking for baristas for Starbucks. We're looking for just team members on the bars and the restaurants. We're looking for chefs and we do our own training, so we don't need any experience.
Obviously with COVID, we're performers and that has been affected massively, that area. So, and that, like working in airports, something I've always been interested in anyway, so I just thought put the two and two together, it makes sense.
I just want to see what jobs are available today, so I will just see what's there for me.
You know, one recruiter I spoke to said that they've been interviewing people on the spot here today. Such is the need to get people in to those roles, and those people hoping that those roles will be for the long time. There are no more COVID waves, no more restrictions to come that might make things a heck of a lot quieter again here.
Now, he was on Albert Square for more than 35 years and became one of the show's best-known characters.
Yeah, Adam Woodyard was only 16 when he became Ian Beale, so what's life like now? Well, he's already been in I'm a Celebrity and is returning to the stage after 40 years away.
He's starring in Looking Good Dead at the Lowry in Salford. He joined me earlier to tell me about the thriller based on a best-selling thriller.
Back in the book, it was my character picks up a CD-ROM. Times have moved on. He now picks up a memory stick, takes it home, has a look on it, and that's his first mistake. Because everything goes wrong from there, and everyone gets put in jeopardy, and it doesn't go very well.
Gaynor, given that this is a production based on a bestseller, there's going to be a huge fan base, a lot of interest in this. Does that put a bit of pressure on the two of you?
Well, you always want to do the best you can, especially, you know, when it's been, especially a best-selling novel or any script, to be honest. So this, Peter James has been, you know, to see a few of the rehearsals, and we're like, when he comes in, we're like, on our best behaviour. But yeah, I mean, it's such a good novel anyway, and obviously this has taken it up a level. I mean, everyone loves a whodunit, so to actually do a whodunit on stage is fab. You know, and you kept guessing right to the end. And even when we were reading it, it was like, oh, when I first initially read it, I was like, oh, I didn't see that.
I'll tell you, you know, a comic will go on stage and he's looking for the laughs. Yeah. We're going on stage and we're looking for the gasps. Yeah. We're trying to get the audience to go, and they didn't see it coming, and that's been fun.
Yeah.
And Adam, I think I'm right in saying it's been about 40 years since you've been on stage.
40 years since I've been in a straight play.
Yeah. How is it being back in front of a live audience?
I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. I'd forgotten how I got bitten by the bug of acting, what made me want to do it in the first place, and it was being on stage.
He's so excitable backstage. I mean, always. It never stopped. You know, I thought, oh, this will die off, you know, when it's been the 30th show. No, still. Don't do it.
No, I'm like a little puppy backstage. I'm bouncing around.
But it's great. You know, it's really good for us because we are doing it over and over again. So it's lovely to have that kind of energy to get us on.
And Corrie, Emmerdale, EastEnders, any kind of rivalry between the two of you? Or exchange, at the very least, any kind of exchanging of stories from back in the day?
Oh, yeah, there's been a lot of that. None of which we're going to reveal.
Adam, what's it like leaving a character like Ian Beale behind and starting fresh?
He's still there. He's just, I'm not there. I think the character will always be part of the fabric of EastEnders, whether I'm in it or not. It's a bit like your two characters you've had over the years. Yeah, they keep...
Well, Julie died. But Megan's...
Every now and again somebody will mention her.
Megan's in Newcastle.
The characters are still part of the fabric of the programme, whether you were actually in it or not. Ian Beale will always be a part of that programme, whether I'm there.
And do you miss your characters when you look back and you think of your time at Emmerdale and Coronation Street, EastEnders in your case, Adam?
Well, I'd say no.
You can.
Yeah. I'm just enjoying being back on stage. I haven't really... I'll be honest with you, I get asked lots of questions about EastEnders and I haven't really paid that much thought to it. I've not... I don't sit there thinking, oh, do I miss Ian? No, I'm just enjoying doing what I'm doing. So no, I don't.
What about you, Gaynor?
Oh, I mean, Coronation Street for me was huge. You know, it was the start of my career and had some incredible storylines. And it was like the golden era of Corrie. You know, there was like Bette Lynch still there and Betty Turpin and Mavis and like some iconic Jack and Vera, whose house I moved into. And they were like real iconic characters. So I feel really blessed that I was in it at that time.
And what next for the both of you?
Well, I'm carrying on with the tour. We're going up and down the country until the end of April. What are you doing?
I've got a film which I'm going to be doing, and I'm writing. Yeah, I've got a little film that I'm doing. Yeah, I know it's going to be fun.
Shed some light on that.
It's really good. It's a part that I've never played before, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's quite gritty.
It's a bloke.
It could be. You never know. And then I'm going to do some writing. I really want to knuckle down and get some writing done.
Gaynor, Adam, lovely to talk to you. Thank you for coming in to chat to us.
No, thank you
and
so much.
The very best of luck with the play.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, what a great chat. Now the weather, here's Kerry.
He's cooked up a storm and now's going to scrape the fat into the bin instead of the sink. My guy.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hang on, was that fish?
Hello, very good evening to you and a big thank you to many of you for sending in those full moon photos from last night and early this morning, like this one from Karen Watts and also this beautiful one from Anthony Bager. So of course we had the clear skies that began today, got down to minus 4.4 Celsius in rural spots overnight last night, but that did lead to more in the way of sunshine across the bulk of the northwest during the course of today. But unfortunately not quite as pretty tomorrow morning as it was this morning. Some showery rain coming through, but it's pretty short-lived, it's brief, and behind it colder, brighter and blustery conditions for most of us on Wednesday. So it's this little system coming down tomorrow morning and dragging in that colder air for Wednesday and for Thursday. Then high pressure becomes established again towards the weekend. Slightly milder air, more like average, and perhaps a little bit more cloud, but the emphasis on high pressure in charge and dry conditions prevailing. So overnight tonight, we just look to the north and west for thicker cloud amounts, maybe some hill fog, a freshening breeze. Further south, perhaps into those clearer pockets, some mist and fog initially, but if anything, those temperatures rising and the winds gathering strength as we head towards dawn, and eventually those outbreaks of rain starting to push in. So there are your sun times for tomorrow, 8:16 and 4:27. So fairly unsettled tomorrow morning, a cloudy, wet spell with some showery rain sinking south, but into the afternoon, drier and clearer, but with a keen northwesterly. It will peg back the feel of the temperatures even in the sunshine. Few rogue showers in the west and certainly a stronger wind out towards the Isle of Man, but highs of 6 or 7 feeling more like 1 to 3 Celsius. There'll be another widespread frost as we head into tomorrow night, but again on Thursday, mostly dry and clear, but feeling cold. Take care.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Bob! Amy!
Loads of comments from you already about cost of living. Debbie says so many people are already having to choose between food and fuel with costs set to rise. They just don't have money left to budget with already.
Yeah, thank you very much for your comments. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Bye.